Good morning, welcome to Facebook Live. This is the third session for the Community Health Team and we welcome you all here again today. I'm Alison Connor, I'm a Community Health Worker with the team, and with me today...
Hi, I'm Ria and I'm also a Community Health Worker.
And we've also got Robin doing great work behind the camera there. So the past few weeks, the first week we were all at Baxter Park and we were trying to encourage you to get out and walk in, so we hope that you're still continuing with your walks and getting out as much as you can. The darker nights are drawing in slightly now, so try and get your walks in during the day if you don't like going out at night. And last week we did tips for leading a healthier lifestyle, and we're going to go over some of those today. Some of the tips we've got on the board, and we talked through every single one of those last week. And this week we looked at what we did the previous week, and Ray and I have come up with the idea that we'll maybe better focus a little bit more in depth with a couple of those subjects that we came up with. So what we're going to do today, we're going to look at the Eat Well plate and look at portions, because portions are sometimes things that will get a little bit out of sync. And we're also going to focus a lot on water and the importance of keeping hydrated. But first of all, we're going to look at the Eat Well plate, and Ria's going to talk you through the sections of the Eat Well plate.
Okay, so we've got our Eat Well mat with us today, and we've got some replica foods and drinks just to show you. If you look online, you'll get the most up-to-date version of this. You can have a wee look yourself and have a wee read. So this is just a visual summary of the main food groups that will make up your diet. And what the plate does is show you the proportions of each of the food groups so that you can lead a more balanced, healthy lifestyle and diet pretty much. Now, the important thing to remember with this is that you don't need to achieve this exact balance every single meal. Even if you can roughly achieve this balance over the course of a day or even the course of a week. So you don't need to get too hung up on it, but it's just to give you an idea of the different proportions that you should be making up your diet with. So I'm just going to talk through the groups on the mat. We did mention some of these last week, so some of the things that I'm mentioning you may have already heard, and we'll talk a little bit about portion sizes and things as well. So you can see the two top groups here. We've got the green group and the yellow group. They each make up a third of your plate. So a third of your diet should be your fruits and your vegetables, and a third of your diet should be your starchy carbohydrates. Now, as I said last week, these are your main energy sources, so that's why it makes up such a large part of your daily diet. So I'm going to start with the fruit and the veg. So last week we did go over the benefits of making sure that you've got your 5 a day. So that's a little goal for you to kind of work towards. If you don't feel that you are getting your 5 portions, that's something that you can maybe work on a little bit. Your larger fruits and veg, so your apples, your oranges, bananas, one of these is considered a portion. If you're looking at things like the larger items, maybe about half of that, so you've got grapefruit, things like your melons. If you've got smaller sized fruits, so nectarines, plums, maybe 2 of those would be roughly a portion. Your grapes, your berries, your raisins, roughly a handful is a portion. We had a few questions last week about things like smoothies and juices as well. And we did mention that if you're having a smoothie or a glass of fresh juice, they will only count once. So you can have 3 smoothies or 2 or 3 glasses of juice. You can really only count one of those as one of your 5 a day. And that's for 2 reasons. So if you're going to blend up your fruit in a smoothie, or you're breaking the fruit down, what tends to happen is some of the fibre can be lost. So you're not getting as much fibre as you would get if you were just eating a piece of fruit. The other reason is when you blitz the fruit up, all the sugar will come away from the cell walls inside the fruit, and what happens is they're then referred to as free sugars. So free sugars are really similar to the sugars that we're trying to cut down. So the sugars that you'll find in your processed foods, your sweets, your cakes. So you're really looking to cut down on those sugars. So by blitzing your fruit up, you're turning the good fruit sugars into sugars that we're trying to cut down. So that's the reason for not being able to just drink 5 smoothies and saying that you've had your 5 a day. So if you just keep that in mind when you're choosing how you're getting your fruit and your veg. And try to think a wee bit creatively, different ways that you can get fruit and veg into your diet that you're maybe not doing just now. So if you're having something like an omelette, add some veg. If you're cooking something like rice, again, make it a little bit more exciting, add some veg. Flavour your veg with spices and herbs and things, get them in the oven and roast them. So it doesn't need to be that bland, boiled way, you know, when you're having your veg. Same with your fruit. If you can get fruit into your cereals, into your porridge, your muesli, anything like that, you know, if you're having a sandwich, add some extra veg. Make sure you're having things like salads. So there's lots of different ways to make sure that you're including fruit and veg every time you actually eat something. Even something like cheese on toast, put some tomato on, some onion on, and that's adding to your intake as well. Okay, so we'll have a wee chat about the yellow group. So that's your starchy carbohydrates, your main source of energy. So you've got your potatoes, which are not counted as a vegetable, they're included as a carbohydrate. You've got crackers, breads, pastas, rices. So if we're talking portions, 1 slice of bread, 1 small roll, wraps or pita bread, actually half a wrap or half a pita bread is a portion, which can surprise people sometimes. So you know, if you're having a whole wrap or a whole pita bread, you're actually maybe having more than 1 portion. Your potatoes, if you're having a baked potato, go for one that's roughly the size of your fist, and that's a portion. If you're cooking boiled potatoes, go for 2 that are roughly egg-sized. And again, 2 potatoes sometimes surprises people. You'd often have more on your plate, so just be mindful of how much you're putting on your plate. If you're thinking about the way you're cooking your foods, so we've got chips here, but you can see that they are skinny, crispy chips. If you're making chips or wedges, try to do homemade. Try to cut them really thick so that you've got a good amount of potato in there and you're not losing that. Cook them in the oven, don't tend to cook them in oil or fat. And again, this might surprise you, but 9 oven chips are a portion, which might seem like nothing. So again, you would probably tend to put more than that on your plate. So have a think about the other things you could be putting on your plate to fill yourself up if you're going to stick to those portions that you're really not used to sticking to. And again, that might be an extra portion of vegetables. Okay, and go for your whole grain. We spoke about this last week. Go for your brown pasta, your brown rice, your brown bread. Fills you up and it has a lot more fibre in it as well. So it's really good for your bowels and your stomach and things, keeping that healthy too. Things like your crackers and your crisp bread. So 2 crisp breads, 2 of these is a portion. 3 crackers is a portion. And you'll see here we've got pasta. So this looks like macaroni cheese. So again, often it's not the pasta itself that's unhealthy, it's what you're going to put on the pasta. So think about that as well with your crackers. If you're going to stick to your 3 cracker portion, what are you putting on that could potentially make it that little bit less healthy? So if you're going to go for cheese or cream cheese, anything like that, you maybe want to go for the lower fat versions, or stick to your low fat cheeses. So things like Camembert, Edam, they're your lower fat cheeses as well. You do get low fat versions of cheddar and things. So just have a wee look in the shop, see what you can get that are your lower fat options as well. The next one we've got here, the blue section, this is your milk and your dairy foods. So you need these for your vitamins, your minerals, your calcium, so healthy bones, healthy teeth. And again, obviously you'll know you get your skimmed milk, your semi-skimmed milk. If you're going to have a glass of milk, 200 mils, so this is a 200 ml portion of milk there, that's your portion size. If you're having cheese, so again, Edam, that's your lower fat version of a hard cheese. You also get cream cheese that has, you get lower version fats of that. You can have cottage cheese, which is a relatively healthy cheese. So if you're going to have cream cheese, you're looking at about a tablespoon of cream cheese. If you're going to go for a lower fat version, it means you can have a little bit more, go for 2 tablespoons of that. For your hard cheeses, the way to remember your portion size is to have a think about, it can be the length of your index finger and about the thickness of your fingernail. So if you have a wee look when you're preparing your cheese, so you're talking about length and then your thickness. So this one's actually a little bit thinner than what you would maybe get away with. So it's just a way of being able to prepare something like that without having to worry about weighing and measuring. You can use your hands for a lot of it as well. Trying to think if I've got anything else to say. Your yogurts as well, so about 4 tablespoons of low-fat natural yogurt is about a portion as well, which is probably roughly what you would get in a little pot. So if you go for your lower fat versions of those too, if you can. The smallest section on our mat is our oils and spreads, and that's because it's a fat-containing product. And I spoke last week a little bit about your good fats and your bad fats. So you've got your unsaturated fats and your saturated fats. So when you're using cooking oil, you're wanting to go for something that is a non-animal fat. So you're looking at corn oil, olive oil, sunflower oil, rapeseed oil. There are lots and lots of different variations that you can buy. So if you go for those, and when you're cooking, you are looking at a teaspoon of oil. That is your portion. A teaspoon of oil is the recommended amount. Try to think if I've got anything else to say about that one. Your spreads, again, go for your low-fat spreads. Some people prefer margarine, some people prefer butter. A lot of people really do not like margarine. They have to have the real thing. It's a personal preference, but again, just watch the amount that you're actually using. Just reduce it. If you really must have butter, just watch how much you're having. Our last one here is our proteins. So there's lots and lots of different things in this group. So your proteins are your meat, your fish, your eggs, your beans, your pulses. So your pulses are things like lentils, peas. Processed peas don't count. So it's things like your garden peas and all the different kinds of beans and things that you might get. So, you know, runner beans, black beans, kidney beans, you've got chickpeas. They all count as non-animal sources. So they're a little bit more healthy. So they contain less fat than things like your meat and your eggs and things. And they also contain a lot more fibre as well. So they're very, very healthy. And your pulses, so things like your lentils, actually count as one of your 5 a day, which a lot of people don't know. So if you're having something like lentils, you're talking about maybe 2 or 3 tablespoons as your portion, and that actually means that you've had one of your 5 a day. And again, similar to the smoothies, you can only count 1 portion. So you can have 5 portions of lentils in one day, but it will only count as 1 portion for your 5 a day. So you can't just make your 5 a day full of lentils. You have to get that mix, and that's because you get so many different vitamins and minerals from all these different foods. So it's getting that balance and getting that mix. So back to your protein group. So again, being mindful of the way that you're cooking things. If you must have things like sausages, burgers, go for your healthier cooking methods. So you want to grill those. Don't have them sailing in fat when you're cooking them. Try not to fry them. If you can make your own, make your own. Things like your bacon. So if you can see any fat, take it off. You've got chicken here with the skin on. Remove that skin. You've got a boiled egg and a fried egg. Again, which is the healthier option? You're going to go for your boiled egg because otherwise you're going to cook your food in oil. You've got fish fingers here, and then you've got your fresh white fish. So again, go for the healthier option. Fish fingers aren't too bad. Again, if you want to grill them rather than fry them, you can cook them in the oven as well. But really, the better option is to go for the fresh fish. And I spoke last week about getting 2 portions of fish a week, and one of them should be an oily fish. So that is your fresh tuna, sardines, trout, salmon. I mentioned a few others last week. So if you can make sure that you're getting one of those each week, that's even better. So again, that's because the fish contains the good fats. So you're reducing your risk of things like heart disease, you're lowering your cholesterol, reducing your blood pressure. It's good for your brain health. You're more likely to be able to cope with things like anxiety and stress. So there's lots of benefits to get in the good fat in your diet and really reducing all that bad fat that comes from your fried foods and your processed foods. Is that all okay? Is that okay?
That's brilliant, Ria. Thank you very much. I hope you've all understood what Ria was saying there, because it's a lot of good information and a lot of great health tips as well there from Ria. So I'm just going to talk to you a little bit now about fluid intake. And last week we touched on the subject about water. So what we thought we'd do today was to bring along some bottles, some glasses, cups, etc., jugs, to let you see exactly what you should be doing on a daily basis. So if we go right to the top here, this is our 2 litre bottle of water, and we're recommended to drink between 1.5 and 2 litres of fluids a day. So I'm going to deal strictly in water today. So as I said, that's your 2 litre bottle, and it might be difficult for you to judge how you're going to get your 2 litres. So my suggestion would be, if you do get your hands on something, a container or a bottle that can hold 2 litres, if you fill it up, you could put it in the fridge and just every so often keep filling a glass, a cup up, and try and get, you know, your 1.5 to 2 litres. So this is your 2 litre bottle, sorry. So fill it up, put it in the fridge, hey presto, you know at a glance how much you're drinking. If you've not got a very big fridge and you're thinking you're stuck for space, how about a 1 litre bottle? So this is your 1 litre bottle, so we could fill this up. You could fill up your glasses, fill up your cups, etc. Once you've finished with that one, just fill it up again, and that's your 2 bottles. So that would be 1 litre bottle, 2 of them, and that's your 2 litres for your fluids. Okay, this one is our 500 mils bottle. So if anybody's good at arithmetic, do you know how many you should be having of these a day? I'll give you a quick 2 minutes to think about it. It's 4. So although everyone out there who got 4 correct, it's 4 bottles of these a day. So if your fridge is even smaller and you need a smaller bottle, please use one of these, fill it up and take it with you wherever you go, because it's really important to keep hydrated. I think we spoke about last week that if you ever feel thirsty, you're already in the early stages of dehydration. So it's really, really important to keep yourself, you know, hydrated with all your fluids. I brought this one along as well. This is a beaker that we use to find out about, you know, measurements. It's usually used for alcohol, but I'm using it for water today. Now, I know that this is 250 mils, and I'm having a look here at this glass. Okay, so you might have a glass similar to this in the house. So if I pour this water into this glass, hopefully that'll be 250 mils that'll go into there. So you know, there we go. What was it going to tip over? No. So there's a 250 ml glass. If you don't have a measuring cup, you can easily just get a glass similar to the size of this. So you have one of those, but what you will need to drink in a day, I'll quickly turn my wee note round, 8 glasses of this one. So there you go. So 8 glasses of your 250 mils is the same as having your 2 litre bottle. So if you don't have any bottles, but if you want to count your glasses, please make sure that you're trying to get your 8 a day of this one. An old-fashioned measuring jug, if all else fails, you can go to the tap and have a look and check how much it is. Oh yeah, that's 250 exactly. Then you can pour it into your glass. But that's a bit faffing about sometimes, so you're better probably just getting a glass, filling it up. And again, just to go over, please try and keep a water bottle with you at all times, because we don't want to be reusing plastic all the time, but get yourself a water bottle and you can use it time and time again, and just rinsing it out every so often. So if we just go back to the start, just to recap, so it's 1 2 litre bottle, 2 bottles of your 1 litre, so it'd be 2 bottles of your 1 litre bottle. Do you remember how many this was? This is your 250 mils. 4. All those shouting out 4, well done, gold stars. And how many glasses was it of your 250 mils? I can hear somebody shouting 8, well done. You're getting points for saying 8 glasses. We know it's 8 glasses of that. That's your measuring jug, and there's your bottle of water that you can take with you all over. Now I'll just quickly run through a few tips and a few benefits of drinking water. So it can, if you're feeling tired and you're lacking energy, it's maybe because you're dehydrated. So get yourself some fluids and you'll notice that you're maybe feeling a little bit more alert and you're feeling that you've got more energy. So make sure you get your fluids. And I can't stress enough that you do impart all this information that Ria's given you, that I'm giving you, to your children, your wider family, neighbours, friends, etc. So take away from today what we're saying and just keep spreading the message about getting the balance right on the Eat Well plate and getting the balance right with fluids. If you're trying to lose weight, water can help promote that, because sometimes when you go to the fridge or go to the cupboard and take something out to eat, have a drink before you do that, because maybe you're thirsty, maybe you're not actually hungry. So have a drink of water, see how you feel 10-15 minutes after that. So water again, it can aid with weight loss if you're making sure that you're drinking and not just eating, because you're confusing hunger and thirst. Water can flush out toxins, you know, because it's really important to keep the body flowing and to keep everything ticking over quite nicely. So if you get some water in you, it can help with that. It could improve your skin. So if you feel a little bit your skin's drying out, maybe it's you're dehydrated, so start drinking lots of water. That can help with that. Water can also help with regularity when you're going to the toilet. It can help digestion if you make sure that you're getting enough fluid. It can boost your immune system. It's not going to cure everything, but it can certainly help towards curing certain things. If you're drinking plenty of water, it can help with headaches as well. I don't know if some of you maybe suffer from headaches, and that again could be due to dehydration. So make sure again you're getting your fluid intake. It can prevent cramps and strains. You've maybe felt, oh goodness, I'm getting a feeling of cramp in my leg or my arms. Again, it could be to lack of fluid. So again, make sure you're taking in lots of water. Water can maybe put you in a good mood. If you're feeling a bit sluggish and you're feeling just you've not got enough energy, again, get yourself a glass of water and have a glass of water and see how you feel after that. And amongst all this and everything that you're seeing on the table, everything that we've done today, when we fill this up with water, I filled this bottle up with water at a total cost of 0 pence. I just turned on the tap. So water is free, so just turn on your taps and use the best water that there is potentially in the world. So that's it on water. I just can't stress enough to you about the value of having all this fluid, you know, and keeping yourself ticking over. Thank you very much.
Right. Yeah, no questions this week, so just a couple of comments I can read out. If anyone has any questions, you can pop them up quickly just before we finish off. So Anne says, this is brilliant, Ria, really informative about the Eat Well plate. And Sheila says, good idea about reusing plastic bottles and being environmentally friendly. So yeah, so no questions so far. Any other comments?
Just say, if anybody is looking, I went through this really quickly, so if you're looking for more information on particularly your portion sizes, the British Heart Foundation is a really good website to go on to. There's a whole section on portion sizes. There's lots of pictures, so they've measured things out and taken pictures of them so you can visually see what that looks like. So have a little look. It's also split into the different groups, so you can click on the group that you want to read up on and you'll see the portion sizes for the different foods in that group. If you want to have another look at the plate online, you can do. If you go to, it's just there, it's the Food Standards Agency website. They will have the most up-to-date version of the plate. So some of the groups, they get tweaked and they get changed every now and again, but you'll see the most up-to-date one on there. And what you will notice is something that I forgot to mention earlier on, is our sugary processed foods sit outside of the plate. And that's because they don't really have a place on the plate. They're not given a place because they are potentially quite unhealthy. So things like your alcohol, Alison mentioned last week that you'll get lots and lots of calories from alcohol, but there's no nutritional benefit from it at all. So they definitely don't count, alcohol definitely doesn't count towards your fluid intake or anything like that. Your processed foods and your sweets and your cakes and your ice cream and things like that, they all sit outside of the plate. So it's up to you to make choices about those in terms of having them in moderation. So it's real moderation. maybe just a treat every now and again. We know that we can't go forever not having anything, but it's just to keep that in mind, that they don't actually sit on the plate itself.
Yeah, we're getting lots of praise from people. So Anne's also saying, great job, Alison. The water message is fab. You guys are naturals. We're trying to convince Anne to come for a future session. Maybe this will convince her. And Laura says, wealth of knowledge, ladies, especially being unscripted. Well done.
Thank you very much. Thanks, everyone. I think that's us for this week, Rhea, and Robin behind the camera. So thank you all for tuning in to the Community Health Team's Facebook Live, and we'll see you all again next week. Tune in at 11 o'clock.